Welcome back to Practice, Practice, Practice. I am your host, Nick Liebman. Happy to have you here. Happy to be practicing guitar with you. So glad you made it back. Just going to start by stretching my wrists out a little bit. You can join me. Again, not an essential thing, but just something that's good to do. And the more you can do it, the better, just so that everything is nice and warmed up before you start playing. Got a couple of question that came my way from my friend Michael, who mentioned, he has a little bit of guitar background, but he hasn't picked up a guitar in a long time. He's got his guitar. It's living in its case. He's moved it from house to house. His wife doesn't like the sound of guitar. So he's looking for ways to practice, ways to pick things back up. Michael, my advice to you and to everybody is 10 minutes a day. If you can commit to 10 minutes a day, 3 or 4 days a week, over the course of a month, 2 months, you'll reawaken what you learned when you first picked up guitar. Hopefully you're watching Practice, Practice, Practice. You're asking me questions below, and I'm answering them for you, and hopefully you're seeing lots of improvement. Okay, let's tune, and then we'll get into what we're covering today. We're going to tune here. Just turning on my tuner. It's a little sharp. Pretty solid. A's all good. D's okay. G's a little flat. There we go. B solid. Very good. It's a little flat. That's a high E. One more time, that's E, A, D, G, B, and your high E. Perfect, we're warmed up, we're in tune, and we're ready to start practicing. What I want to talk about today is a dominant 7th chord. What's a dominant 7th chord? Dominant is a musical term to mean the chord built on the 5th scale degree. So if I'm in G, the dominant chord of the G key is D major. Okay? So you might hear songs that are G, and then C, and then back to the G, and then D. So the dominant in music is completely different from the tonic. There isn't a single, there's one shared note between them. And so 2 of the 3 notes are different. It's almost as different as you can get and still be diatonic. And it's sort of, if the tonic, if your chord that your key is in is like an out breath, an exhale, the dominant is like an inhale, if that makes any sense. Or sometimes it's described as like a comma, right, in a long phrase, or something like that. But basically, tonic and dominant are the 2 main musical poles in tonal music, and you're going always from some version of tonic to some version of dominant and back. Something that makes the dominant even more powerful, even more like it wants to lead you back to your tonic or to lead you to what's coming next, is to turn it into a 7 chord, a dominant 7 chord. All you need to do there is add a pitch to it. So we take an E and you lift up your 3rd finger to allow your D string to play open. That D is the 7th scale degree, that D natural, 7th scale degree from E, right? And so that is, whereas the full major chord sounds pretty full, when you add that, it adds a little uncertainty, like this chord is a little less stable now. And that D wants to resolve down to a C sharp, right? So this is going to lead you very much to your A, which has that C sharp in it, right? The dominant always wants to resolve back to its tonic. Or in this case, you can form a D7. A regular D is like this. First finger on the second fret on your G string, second finger on the second fret on your high E string, and your third finger on the third fret of your B string. In order to do this, we'll want to add the 7th scale degree of the D key, which is C, right? And C, we know from playing a C chord, your first finger on the first fret of your B string is a C natural. You leave your second finger and your third finger right where they were on the second fret of the G and E string respectively, and that's a D7. This wants to resolve down to a B and G, right? So it just leads you that much more strongly to where you're going. There's another use for 7th chords, dominant 7th chords. They happen in all sorts of blues and like funk and jazz, and they show up just to add color, to add something special. So and one of the ways, a really easy way you can form a dominant 7th chord for any pitch, use that same finger positioning that we used for a D7, but we're going to move it way down our strings. So let's talk about an E7. We would just play the open E7 here, but if you play up on the 7th fret, put your third finger on the A string on the 7th fret, which is going to play an E pitch, E natural pitch, an octave above your low E. First finger on the 6th fret of your D string, and third finger right there on the 7th fret of your G string. Those three pitches together basically gives you a dominant 7th chord. Hey, that was dominant 7 E, E flat, D, C sharp, C, B. Just playing a little. I'm just gonna play the A string, or sorry, the D string open there, and my second and third fingers on the first fret of those other strings to play it, and a B flat 7. And then if we want to get down to A, of course you can play an A7 like an open chord, like this, or you can just go ahead and move down third finger, 5th fret, first finger, 4th fret of the A string, and third finger, 5th fret of the D string. So practice that. You want to be sure that you're curving your fingers up so that I'm trying to get a good angle here so you can see all this daylight here. I can fit an entire finger in, right? You want to have all that space there because you don't want to mute the strings with your fingers. You want to be sure they can sound. You also want to be sure you're very intentional with the pressure that you're putting here. You want to press with the very tips of your fingers, not the pads, okay? So let's learn a song that uses this 7 chord. You want to start with it up on the 7th fret like we were practicing to make an E. And the song we're going to learn is a Jimi Hendrix song. I've talked a little bit about Jimi Hendrix before. Hendrix music was very, very influential on me when I was learning to play guitar, but throughout my life I've loved Jimi Hendrix. The man was a prodigy. He played music like nobody could play. He made the guitar completely his own. And if you see any footage of him playing, especially, at the Monterey Pop Festival, where he set his guitar on fire, I opened that gig. Get this. So this was in 1967, like a couple of weeks after the Beatles dropped Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And Jimi Hendrix started his set with a cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the title track from that song. So the vibe at the time, remember, of course, the Beatles had already emerged from this sort of Beatlemania thing, and they were sort of releasing albums from seclusion, right? So this album drops, and it's like the biggest news in the world. And Jimi Hendrix, before anybody's really even had a chance to listen to the whole album, already has this incredibly unique cover song. It blew the world away with it. Anyway, I could go on forever and ever about Jimi Hendrix. This is one of his more famous songs. And the chords for it are very simple. It's that dominant 7 we were talking about on an E, so the 7th fret on your A string, and you're going to want to play the low E open. The second chord in the verse is a G, and I'm just playing that like a power chord. So first finger on the 3rd fret, third finger on the 5th fret of the A string, and pinky on the 5th fret of the D string. And then just slide it up to A, G, G, A. And you can make it a bar chord if you like. These are major chords, so G major and A major. And that's just put down your second finger here on the G string when it's the G chord on the 4th fret, and then here on the 6th fret for the A, and you just bar all the way down. Let me show you how that little riff goes. So at the end of the verse in this song, which I can't believe I'm blanking on the name of this song, you guys. Leave it in the comments below. It's not Foxy Lady, it's that one. It starts, and then there's a riff. Let me see if I can. Purple Haze. It's called Purple Haze. It's the first line of the song. Come on, you guys. Purple haze all in my brain, acting funny and I don't know why. Excuse me while I kiss the sky. Let's talk about how to do that. You're on the G string and between the 7th and the 9th frets, and you're going to want to, so you're bending 9 up, and like a whole, like you're bending it a lot. You're bending it almost 2 full frets if you can. So that's just, I'm plucking and bending, and I'm at the top of the bend, I pluck again and bend back down like that. So pluck up, pluck down like that. And now I'm just bringing my 3rd finger down on the D string on the 9th fret, and I'm playing D string 9th fret, 1st finger on the G string 7th fret, and then my 2nd finger here on the 8th fret of my B string, right? So, and then when you hit that B string, when you hit that pitch here on the 8th fret of the B string, I'm going to give it a little vibrato, if you can. This is the real musicianship that comes with practice and more practice after that, right? You'll get a sense for how to, just like a singer when they're using vibrato in their voice, la, you have to kind of learn how much of this am I making happen, how much of this is natural, how fast should I do it, how slow should I do it. You will get a feel for it. If at first you have to do it really artificially, that's okay too. And it's just for a moment, right? So, and that just even if it's just one little bend, that'll add a lot to how that little solo section sounds. So let's try this again, just the first verse and into that riff. So. go, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that. Check out more episodes of Practice. Listen along and play with the album recordings and other versions of these songs that I found here on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you tomorrow.